Love this podcast? Support this show through the Acast supporter feature. It's up to you how much you give, and there's no regular commitment. Just hit the link in the show description to support now.
Are you a professional pillow fighter? Or a 9-to-5 low-cost time travel agent? Or maybe real estate sales on Mars is your profession? It doesn't matter. Whatever it is you do, however complex or intricate, Monday.com can help you organize, orchestrate, and make it more efficient. Monday.com is the one centralized platform for everything work-related. And with Monday.com, work is just easier. Monday.com, for whatever you run. Go to Monday.com to learn more.
You've been waiting all year, and the moment is finally here. Boll & Branch is the bedding brand for better sleep, and their best sale of the year is happening now. Right now, you can get 25% off the organic cotton sheets loved by millions of sleepers. They feel breathable, luxuriously soft, and get softer with every wash. Shop Boll & Branch's cyber event with extended returns for the holiday season. Hurry to bollandbranch.com and use code BUTTERY for 25% off everything. Limited time only. Exclusions apply. See site for details.
The DSW Black Friday sale is on. Take 30% off almost everything in stores and online right now. Yep, you heard that right, 30% off. Stock up on new shoes, bags, and extras for you and yours from all the gift-worthy brands you love. But hurry, Black Friday can't last forever. Get to your DSW store or DSW.com ASAP to save big. Exclusions apply. Details at DSW.com.
Tonight, Ron, we're going to be talking about your West Midlands 11. So it's pretty much from about 1948, early 50s to present day. Players that you've either managed, coached, watched as a fan, as a pundit, like what we did with your Aston Villa 11. And you spent 8 years of your 28 years in management managing in this area for West Bromwich Albion, Aston Villa and Coventry City.
Well, that's right. I mean, the first football match I've said I ever went to was at St Andrews, where and it was Villa against Blues or Blues against Villa.
Yeah.
And the two things I remember mainly were the two goalkeepers. In goal for Villa was a lad named Alan Wakeman, and my father told me he'd been an outstanding schoolboy international. He used to play both in midfield and in goal, not for the Villa, but for the schoolboys. And at the other end, of course, was the man they called the Clutch, Gil Merrick. And in the team, in the teams, I know we've had some great keepers in this area. In fact, the best goalie I've seen over a short period of time in my time was Bosnich. That was the best goalie in a short period of time. The Bosnich that played for Aston Villa, that is, not the Bosnich that later on had some problems off the field. But for outstanding consistency, there's two goalies going back to the 50s that dominated the scene, and there was rivalry between them, and both, mainly for the England team, that was Gil Merrick of Blues, and a guy I got very friendly with, particularly in later life, Bert Williams at Wolves, the Cat. The original Cat, actually, he played against Italy and had a blinder in Italy, and he was nicknamed, I think it was Il Gittoni. Il Gittoni Due, something like that, the second Cat. But for reliability and for everything, consistency and whatever, I'd go just about for Gil Merrick. I'd go for Gil Merrick, who was for many, many years outstanding for Birmingham. And as I remind a lot of my Blues mates have to be. And also was a very reliable keeper. Famed, of course, for the fact that he was on the receiving end of the Hungarian Tonkin when Puskas got one of the goals of the century against him. Billy Wright was sent into the stands when Puskas dummied him. But all in all, impressionable. But I used to be behind that goal a lot, and I would say Gilmer, reliability, calm.
So your first choice at goalkeeper tonight will be Birmingham City's Gil Merrick, and very closely followed by some of those other legends of the game that you've just referenced.
I'd have Gilmerrick just about nicking
Yep.
Bert Williams. I think they vied for a long time for the England position. I think in the end, Merrick won it as the mainstay. But Bert was a great keeper and a great bloke as well. I used to love. I'll tell you a little story. You just reminded me now. Bert was a lovely man. Bert had a sports shop in Wolverhampton when Wolves, alongside Man United, were the two best teams in the country. Players weren't getting anything like, they were getting decent wages, but nothing like it came in later years. So what the club used to do at Wolves, Jimmy Mullen had a sports shop and Bert had a sports shop. And they used to supply the club, and Jimmy used to supply the club with the gear, all the shirts and shorts and all the training gear and that. And Bert Williams used to supply the club with footballs and boots. Yeah. I can remember one instance, and I mean, Joe Gardner and that, the old trainers and that, they never bothered. Bert would pull his car up, his estate car, and just how many balls, and sign for them, and then Bert would bring them into the stock room where we were, which backed onto Waterloo Road, where Molyneux is. And we would throw half of the balls back out the window to him. And I think everybody at the club knew what was going on, but I think they just let it ride. But that was the thing. That was the thing I remember about Bert. But a great bloke, as I say. I got to know him very well. I knew him as a kid when I was a kid, but I got to know him very well in later life. And it was a close call. But Gil was Mr. Reliability. Bert was spectacular. Yeah, Bert was spectacular. But Gil was. I'm sure. Well, I don't know. That's a nickname I've made for him, or I seem to recall him being known as the Clutch, because crosses were any crosses into the box. It was more of a surprise when he didn't catch it than when he did.
And this is
what happened there. Right full back, this might surprise you. The right full back might surprise you.
Go on.
I thought long and hard about John Gidman at Villa. Giddy was brilliant at Villa. And he did well for Man United. But the guy I'm going to go for, right full back, is a guy named Jeff Hall.
Yep.
Who would have played in the 58 World Cup. I mean, when you consider England, I don't think England got beaten in the World Cup in 58. And just prior to that, we'd lost both fullbacks, Jeff Hall through, I think polio, I think Jeff Hall. Yeah, Jeff Hall, polio. And Roger Byrne, of course, in the air crash. Yeah. Duncan Edwards in the air crash, Tommy Taylor. And, you got four, there'll be others, of course, but there are four major great players who, weren't available for England for the following year.
The heart was ripped out, wasn't it? Yeah.
But I'll tell you what Jeff Hall was. Very, very quick.
Yeah.
I seem to remember him being a bit of a master of the sliding tackle, quick in recovery, and pace was a great thing then. I mean, the irony of it was the left back. I mean, they were known as Hall Green, which is a decent area in Birmingham, big area. Ken Green at left full back, he was a good player. But my full back, my left full back would be. It was a difficult choice. Well, it wasn't really. Left back seemed to be the positions I've had the best players in all the while. At Aston Villa, Steve Staunton was magic. He had a left foot like a wand. He could pick people out. He'd played at Liverpool. We were fortunate to get him. We got him at Villa because Graham Souness had to sell foreign players, and as an Irishman, he was classed as that. It was the days when you're only allowed to play so many foreign players. So we reaped the benefit of that, and he was a terrific left back. But the best left back for me, he got 5 England caps. Derek Statham and Kenny Sansom got 84, I think it was, England caps. And to this day, and I remember arguing with Malcolm Allison all night about it once. To this day, Derek Statham, I think, is the best left back England should have picked week in and week out. And I tell you, the supreme accolade I can give him. I was having this discussion once in Tenerife with a great pal of mine who could well have been the best left back of all time, Terry Cooper.
Yep.
And Terry said, "Oh, that Statham is some player," and I thought that's enough.
Yeah.
When Terry Cooper's giving him that award, you got to set him notice. So the little man would get the left back spot, but Stan Staunton would come very close. A centre half, first choice, not even an argument. The legend that is Paul McGrath.
Yep.
Paul McGrath, everything quicker than people thought. People said, he missed games. In the first 4 years of the Premiership, he missed 2 matches. Paul McGrath, everything can. Unassuming fella, quick, could play, could defend, a great defender. And that was a standing joke, particularly at Man U. Ian Rush had knocked the ball past him, and Rushy was quick. And by the time we got to the penalty area, McGrath would be waiting for him. But McGrath, that's not even an argument. That is not for discussion. He would be the 2 certainties that were for 2 first names. He would be one of the 2 first names on the sheet.
Can I just interrupt you slightly, Ron, and say that in your first 4 picks, I've actually put down the same 4 that I thought that you would pick.
You got Jeff Hall, did you?
I did, yeah. I'd got a cross between. I thought it would either be Jeff Hall or Giddy, and I thought it might be a bit of a toss-up. I got Merrick and Bosley. I forgot about Bert Williams. I got Derek Statham straight in, Paul McGrath straight in, and your final defender, I've got a toss of a coin who I think it might be. Who's your fifth choice, sir?
Well, I'm going to go. It's an obvious one.
Yeah.
It's an obvious one.
William?
Pardon?
William
Ambrose.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Billy Wright. Billy Wright. He got 105 caps, Yeah. 105 caps. At a time when England used to play maybe maximum half a dozen internationals a year. That would be worth now. Like Rooney got 120, no subs as well. He didn't get substitutions.
Yep.
They were all had to play. So I reckon that is worth, in today's money, 150 caps. Billy Wright.
Yep.
Terrific in the air, inspirational skipper. Had played for a long time as wing half or midfield, as it's now known. Went to play at the back. Not the biggest of men, but couldn't half leap.
Yeah.
Great springer, would win balls in the air, and of course he'd be captain. He would get the captain's armband straight away, Billy Wright. And when I was a kid at Wolves, he was the absolute legend, and he was terrific with us kids. He'd go out of his way, and I always remember when I was playing for Oxford, we played Arsenal in the cup. Billy Wright was manager, and we walked in, and there's 2 or 3 of the lads that all started off at Wolves. Been young lads at Wolves, and he was talking to a load of journalists, and he sees them come in, and straight away broke away from the journalists and came over to us and asked, and made us feel, how are you getting on? How's it going and all that. He didn't have to. He could have just nodded, but he came over and made a point of it, and that always stuck with me. A great man, a terrific man, who I got to know quite well later on through television. He was head of sport for ITV and that. So, smashing bloke, terrific player. And him and McGrath would take some whacking. They'd take some beating. You've got others. Trevor Smith, I thought, was a terrific centre-half. Kenny Burns, whether he was a centre-half or centre-forward. Ali Robertson and John Wall, terrific players. Another one that nearly got a mention, Jimmy Dugdale.
Yep.
Jimmy Dugdale nearly got in there. But, there's only one Billy Wright and there's only one Paul McGrath. So there's no argument.
And what kind of price would you put on them today, Ron? I know you're putting the caps on about 150. I think you're absolutely right, because he was the first centurion. And also, he was probably the first celebrity, because he married one of the Beverly sisters, and also,
right, yeah.
he absolutely run Star Soccer in the olden days. He introduced all us kids to football on a
Yeah.
Sunday.
Yeah. Don't tell Gary Newman that, because he thinks he did.
Well, my dad always used to say Billy Wright must have opened so many doors for Gary Newman.
Billy Wright was brilliant. He honestly was just, and I'll tell you, he was probably an even better bloke than he was player.
Blimey.
I'll tell you, honestly. And the only, I've said that, ironically enough, somebody else I've said that about was Bobby Moore.
Yes.
And they were both in that category. But getting back to the West Midlands, Billy Wright, all day long. But there's a very, very good Wolves player going to be a bit unfortunate to miss out, because I couldn't quite fit him in midfield. And the team will be a bit more adventurous than a lot of sides. I'm going to go in midfield. I'm going to go for, obviously, Captain Marble. Browne Robson's going to get the midfield role.
Yep.
Almost. He'll be vice captain. And alongside him, I'm going to go for one of the best players I've ever seen. And I actually would put him down as maybe the best ever Wolves player, Peter Broadbent.
Yeah.
Peter Broadbent, what a player. I mean, he was in the era of Johnny Haynes and Albert Quicksell and people like that, and he got quite a few caps, Peter. I can remember him and he was brilliant in the air. I can remember him playing for England at, I think it was Villa Park against Wales, and he got 2 great headers. Scored, he could spring, but he had a body swerve like anything. He was one of the few as well. Stan Cullis ruled Molineux with a rod of iron. In those days it was easier to do that, and he made Cloughie look like a soft touch, Stan Cullis. But the one player that would stand up to him, and there were some great players there, the player that would stand up to him most was Broadbent. And, you might say you're going to be a bit light in midfield because they couldn't, Peter couldn't tackle, but Robbo would do enough for that. And they'd have the ball that much that, nobody's going to get back at them. Now, so, that would be my 2 basic midfield players, Broadbent and Robson. And then, of course, you've got great players. I mean, Bomber Browne, I thought long and hard about the Bomber, but I think wouldn't be Andy on the bench. Bomber. So we stick him on the bench, the Bomber. Up front, I'm trying to work out how to get all this lot in the team. So I'm probably going to go, I'm probably going to go on the right-hand side. I'm probably going to go Trevor Francis.
Right, okay.
But there's a switch here, because alongside I'd have my centre forward, and I'm still not sure I'm right in picking it. I'd go up for Andy Gray.
Yep.
But it was a hair's breadth between Andy Gray and Jerry Hitchens.
Yep.
And I might even change that before the end of this. but I'd go Andy Gray, and alongside him, I'd go Ronnie Allen.
Yep.
I'd go Ronnie Allen alongside him. I might even have put Ronnie Allen on the right wing and Trevor alongside Andy. I mean, I could always do that during the game, couldn't I?
Yeah.
Because Ronnie Allen started as a right winger when he came from Port Vale. So, now, so on the left wing would be, I mean, you got some great contenders. Tony Morley would be a contender. Mark Walters would be a contender. There's quite a few in that position. Laurie Cunningham, Willie Johnson, of course, would be prime contenders. Prime to the extent that I'm a bit tempted to pick them. But on the left-hand side, I'm going to have Peter McFarland.
Yeah.
Peter McFarland, a legend at the Villa. He hadn't got quite the class and the silky skills of some of those others I've mentioned, but put anything into the penalty box and he could fly at it. And You look at Francis, Allen, Andy Gray. Yeah, I'll keep Andy in place of Jerry Hitchens. I'll keep Andy in, but I'll have a Hitchens warming up all match. And Peter McFarland. You might not even need defenders, particularly with McGrath and Billy Wright there.
You see, this is what I always say about quality and absolute class. We're going to have the ball more times than you. We don't worry about you. In fact, the only time you're going to get the ball is when you kick off. How close would Peter Knowles have been to that team or to that squad, Ron?
Yeah, good player, great smashing player. He'd have been close, but, he never went on, did he? Obviously, for certain reasons, which I don't know whether he regrets now, but he was a super, super player. I mean, there's some great players being left out of that. So, I mean, I'm looking at it. I can't believe, one of them, Sid Cowans would be worth him, for Sid in his pomp.
Yep.
Was he was a Villa legend. People like that. The player that I would love to have fitted in, because I loved him as a player, loved him as a bloke, was Ronnie Flowers.
Yep.
But he'd be on my bench, so I could change the pattern if need be. He would be on the bench. Bomber would be on the bench. Would we need any defenders? Steve Staunton would, because he could play a number of positions. And who else?
We've got two more on the bench.
Who else would I have on the bench? I suppose you'd cheat a bit and you could stick Kenny Burns on the bench, because he could play if there was a problem at the back, or he could play as a problem at centre forward.
What was Kenny's best position for you? Because I remember as a kid breaking into that Birmingham team, he was predominantly a centre forward that replaced Bob Latchford, who again is another Birmingham City legend. But Cloughy played him at the back with Larry Lloyd.
Yeah, I mean, that was his best position.
Yeah,
he was fearless at the back, and he was hard to get past, that's for sure. So if I had him, he could double as well. And
the holidays are all about sharing with family. Meals, couches, stories, grandma's secret pecan pie recipe. And now you can also share a cart with Instacart's Family Carts. Everyone can add what they want to one group cart from wherever they are, so you don't have to go from room to room to find out who wants cranberry sauce, or whether you should get mini marshmallows for the yams, or collecting votes for sugar cookies versus shortbread. Just share a cart, and then share the meals and the moments. Download the Instacart app and get delivery in as fast as 30 minutes. Plus, enjoy free delivery on your first 3 orders. Service fees and terms apply.
Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No, don't. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
I think from variation, it would be a toss-up between maybe Cyril and Laurie. Maybe Laurie would give more options. Laurie could give more options. He could play more positions. Did I put Hitchens on the bench?
No, you actually didn't. I'll let you have 17. You can have Jerry as well.
I'll have Hitchens on the bench. Then I thought, and I would have. If Hitchens is on the bench, that would suffice for Cyril. So I'd have Laurie on the bench, because he could play all along the front, and even if necessary, do a spell in midfield. He was a phenomenal player, Cunningham.
Yeah.
Phenomenal player. When I look at certain players now, they're getting raved. I don't see them in the same class as Laurie. And you're talking about players, they're getting world reviews now. Laurie would get that last spot, I think. I'm trying to think who I've missed out. Blues have got a fair few in.
Derek Dugan, would Dugan come into consideration at all? And Mullins and Hancocks at Wolverhampton Wanderers in that great team?
They were good for
yeah.
and whatever. I'll tell you what Duke would have been. Duke would have been a very, very good player in that Wolves team.
Yes,
that Wolves team.
50s. Yeah.
You know, strangely enough, playing the cup final, didn't he, against them for Blackburn? But yeah, it'd have been. But they would not have quite made it. Not quite. Jimmy Mullen was a smashing player. Well, but they're all top players.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, they're all top players. Yeah, I've got enough variation now. I think I've got a starting lineup and I've got world-class replacements for all of them. I'm just trying to think at the top of my head if there's anyone that I've missed out. Yeah, you have a substitute goalie as well, which, well, we'll put Bert on the bench. Ronnie Flowers, Ronnie Flowers is in there. Hitchens, Bomber, Kenny Burns and Laurie, wasn't it? Was that the group?
The bench would be Bomber, Flowers, Staunton, Burns, Cunningham, Hitchens and Bert Williams. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 subs and 11. John Richards was a player as well in the 70s, wasn't he? And tell me more about Laurie, because I remember you telling me about Laurie. He could run on snow and not leave a print. He was that light-footed.
Yeah. I think for a while, I would say Laurie is a bit of a statement. I would say Laurie was a better than Raheem now.
Yeah.
He could do more things. I mean, Sterling has been brilliant. His goals, he's covered himself up with goals. Laurie could isolate a powerful boy. Laurie,
right?
Powerful boy, could take people on. He'd get his quota of goals. Yeah, he gets quota of goals, Laurie. And he could work. He would work up and down the line. If you gave him a specific job, he would do the job. I'll tell you a great player I've missed, but unfortunately I can't find the space for him, is Ray Barlow. I could go through so many great players that aren't going to be on the list, but there's so many great players that are on the list and are in there.
Absolutely. And a lovely story I remember you telling me about Trevor Francis. Wasn't it you that marked him when Trevor Francis scored on his home debut for Birmingham against Oxford?
It was his only kick, as I constantly remind him. I said, the only kick you got in your debut, you only had one kick. Well, it was the equaliser.
And you had Trevor up at Sheffield as well, didn't you, later on in his career?
That's right. I mean, I tried to sign Trevor for West Brom, you know.
I remember.
When Alf Ramsey was manager. And I think at the time, we offered what was then a record, 600 and something. And it never got, to be fair, it never got past, I hardly got past stage one. But it was 12 months later, he goes to Forest, for nearly £1 million. I
remember when that broke, because, being a big Birmingham City supporter growing up, and Trevor being linked to one of certainly our rivals, I got an idea. Coventry City coming with a silly little bid for Trevor as well.
I'll tell you, nearly bought him. I tell you, wanted to buy him. I think Ron Sanders at the Villa.
Yeah.
I think Ron Sanders went seriously for him. But he was a phenomenal player. He was a really top player, great player.
Yeah.
I mean, I look at players today that are getting rave reports, and he would be better than them. And I always fancied the dream pairing was Andy Gray and Trevor Francis.
Yeah.
That's hence probably why I've gone for them here. And yet Jerry Hitchens was such a marvellous player. I still don't believe I haven't picked Hitchens, to be fair, but there you go.
But you're right. We've had so many brilliant players that have played for the West Midlands. And you was telling me earlier today, you also tried to sign Alan Hudson while you was manager of West Brom, didn't you?
Yeah, I had talks with them about Huddy coming, and it was at the last bit. It was decided against it,
What year was that, Ron?
That would be about, I can remember the talks went on in the in the Royal Garden in London. I'm thinking, I'm going to say 79, I would guess, something like that.
So that was when he was leaving Arsenal and he was en route to Seattle Sounders, wasn't it?
I'm just trying to think whether it was.
That was at 79. It was after the 78 FA Cup final. He was on the run from Terry Neal, and he was with Bobby Moore at Stamford Bridge. And Bobby said, "What you doing? You should be playing now. You're only 27. He said, "Jimmy Gabriel's in the next box with me. Come and see Jimmy's looking for players for Seattle." And that's why, Alan Hudson ended up in Seattle. That was all down to Bobby Moore. Great bloke.
You've just mentioned a funny thing there, Jimmy Gabriel. I went on a coaching course with Jimmy Gabriel when we used to do the Lily Shaw bit.
Yeah.
And he had a right go at me.
What for?
Jimmy. Well, I said, what you... He said, you. He said, I can remember playing for Southampton against you. And I'm going down the left-hand side of the field. And he's right, because I used to have this saying. If somebody was out there, particularly a right-footed player, I'd be shouting, keep him on his left foot. Can't you? Keep him on his left foot. His left foot's useless. Keep him on it. He said, and I could hear you shouting at me. He said, and I was trying to cross the ball. He said, I'll show him. He said, and then early at the top of the stand, the Dell. But, no, good luck, Jimmy. Yeah. That was Jimmy Gabriel. Yeah.
What was the strangest thing that you encountered, Ron, while you was managing in the West Midlands for Albion? Probably not so much Coventry. You weren't there that long at Coventry, and Aston Villa.
There's a Coventry player nearly got in the group.
Go on, what one?
Gordon Strachan.
Right, yeah, of course, Strack.
I mean, I signed Strack as assistant manager. Howard Wilkinson said he's finished.
Yeah.
He had a bad game for Leeds. He'd come back after injury. He had a bad game against Liverpool, of all people. And Howard said, I think it's time to hang him up. So I was taking somebody on as a number two, and I asked Strack to come with me as number two. So he came to Coventry, and we had a couple of five-a-sides. And I stopped I called him in after a couple of days. I said, do you know something? You're our best player. You've got to start playing again. And he played another 2 years.
Yeah.
He was about 41. And he actually kept us up one year. When I went there, we were bottom of the league, and we picked up a bit. And we had to win at Tottenham one night when Tottenham had the big five up front, the Klinsmann, Anderton, Barmby, there was Radichur, Dumitrescu, one of them.
Yeah.
And Sheringham. And we beat them, and Strack absolutely killed them. He absolutely killed them. And I'll tell you Dion Dublin was a good player. Noel Whelan was a good player there. Gary McAllister, of course. But I tell you, he was a super player there. He could have played in any of the big teams. Peter Unlove.
Yes.
Peter Unlove was a smashing player.
Mm.
And I know he came to Birmingham, and it didn't quite work out for him. And yet, I thought he had a terrific. When he came to Birmingham, he had a smashing goals record. But he went off a good player.
I remember watching him for Birmingham, and I used to watch him closely. That lad, his ball control was incredible, and the way he beat a player, he beat him with such ease. I thought you're right. I thought Nuddy was absolute top drawer, and you're right. Should have gone on, and probably could have gone on and played for bigger clubs.
Oh, I tell you what, when I saw him, I thought if he'd have been around when I was manager at say Man U, I'm not sure he didn't make his debut against us when I was at the Villa. I think he might have. I seem to remember him coming on, a very young lad from Rhodesia, Zimbabwe as it is now.
Mm-hmm.
But a good player. He was another good Midland player. Like you say, we had some great players in the Midlands, yeah.
What was the best team that you had, Ron? The Villa team that you had there, or the Albion team, and you were very close to winning the league with both. What did you need at both clubs to just get you over the line and win the league? I know at Albion you could probably say better weather.
Well, I think that's a certainty.
Yeah.
I mean, when the big freeze came on at West Brom, we could have beaten any team in Europe, but we we'd had a spell where we were unbelievable. We went to Highbury and beat Arsenal at Highbury when they were one of the best teams. Well, they were. Went to United, beat them 5. Beat Bristol City on New Year's Day on the ice pitch. We'd beaten Valencia and drawn with Valencia, who were a good side in Europe. I think we'd have run out. We'd have been so far ahead. And then we stopped for, I don't think we played again for at least 6 weeks.
Yeah.
In which time, of course, Liverpool had played and managed to go past us. And our first game back was at Anfield when we looked very rusty. Mm. I mean, I was trying to fix games up everywhere to try and get. We went to Guernsey, wasn't it, and played Jim Smith's Birmingham in the Sports Argus put it up as the Arctic Cup. We played them there. We played. In fact, I think this is one for you. Trevor's debut for Forest. We played Forest at Whitney Town. Right. Where the record crowd was 2,000, and there must have been 8,000 in there that night.
Blimey.
We're top of the league, and they're European champions. I mean, it was unreal. We'd just go anywhere to try and get a game of football because, before we didn't have undersoil heating, and the pitches were even the training facilities were poor. Yeah. In terms of underfoot.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See detail.
When it comes to weight loss, no two people are the same. That's why Noom builds personalized plans based on your unique psychology and biology. Take Brittany. After years of unsustainable diets, Noom helped her lose 20 pounds and keep it off.
I was definitely in a yo-yo cycle for years of just losing weight, gaining weight, and it was exhausting.
And Stephanie. She's a former D1 athlete who knew she couldn't outtrain her diet, and she lost 38 pounds.
My relationship to food before Noom was never consistent.
And Evan, he can't stand salads, but he still lost 50 pounds with Noom.
I never really was a salad guy. That's just not who I am. Even through the pickiness, Noom taught me that building better habits builds a healthier lifestyle. I'm not doing this to get to a number. I'm doing this to feel better.
Get your personalized plan today at Noom.com. Real Noom users compensated to provide their story. In 4 weeks, the typical Noom user can expect to lose 1 to 2 pounds per week. Individual results may vary.
So, and then we finished up, I think that season, we finished up with about, I think we played 10 or 11 games in 25 days or something.
Crazy, isn't it?
And don't forget, you'd have squads of 14 or 15 players.
Yeah.
So that I did think that played a big part. The first time at Villa, when I thought we might, we weren't as good a team at Villa as United were. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But all the pressure was on them. And I'll tell you when I think, the moment I thought their names on it was when Steve Bruce got 2 goals against Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah.
And they show it all the time when Fergie and Brian Kidd run on the pitch at the end of the game. They're getting beat 1-0. Carlton Palmer told me the story. He said he went to the linesman and said, how long left? The linesman said 2 minutes of extra time. He said 6 minutes later, he said, we're still winning. He said, and Trevor was manager of Sheffield Wednesday, and he came up with a great quote. He said something about United scored their goals in the second leg, which I thought was a great quote. And then I thought, is that the moment? And we went on. We won the next 3 games. I think we beat Man City, Forest, and we won at Arsenal. That's right. But I think if they hadn't got that result that day, they might have just bottled it. So that lifted them, and that gave them the belief to go on, I think. Yeah.
All comes down to fine margins, doesn't it?
I mean, they were a better. On paper, they were a better team than us. Although the year they won it, we beat them twice. We beat them in the league, beat them in the cup, and drew at Old Trafford. So in the head-to-heads, we did quite well.
Was that the year, Ron, that you beat United first game of the season, and Anson said you'll never win nothing with kids? Was it that season that you beat them? No.
It was the season we played them. I'm just trying to think of the season. We played them in the League Cup. Dean Sanders scored the winning goal, beat them 1-0. Yeah. Then we beat them relatively comfortable in the at Villa Park in the league, maybe 2-0, I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
And we went to Anfield. We went to Old Trafford, and Steve Staunton scored a wonder goal.
Yeah.
And then late in the game, they scrambled an equaliser.
And also, while we're talking about West Midlands football, we can't leave this episode of Big Ron Remembers without talking briefly about that trip to China, because that was groundbreaking as well, wasn't it? How did that come about? The bloke from the party.
There's a guy, Perry. It was something to do with the England, was it London China Export Company, something like that.
Yeah.
And Sir Bert Millerchip, he loved anything that had a bit of a political twist to it or something like that. And I was desperate not to go, so we shouldn't be going there. End of season, the boys want to be in Mallorca or somewhere. In the end, we went. It was the longest 3 years. 3 weeks, wasn't it? I was going to say it only seemed like 3 years when you're out there. In actual fact, we have more laughs about it now than we did when we were there. I remember one night I'm thinking, I'm fed up here, I'm going to go out. Got ready, went to the hotel, went down to the front of the hotel, just looked around, thought, well, where do you go? And went back in again. Yeah.
And that was the you had a guy from the Communist Party, didn't you, taking you around, and when you left, he was in tears, wasn't he? He probably had the best 3 weeks of his life.
He was a right member. Oh, yeah. Everything we stood for, he hated.
Yeah.
And I said to one or two of the guys, I'll tell you what, let him stick around for a bit. And I'd say, well, go on, have a glass of champagne, have a glass of wine. Go on. Hey, come on with us and all that. By the end of the trip, I think he wanted to come home.
I'll be the kit man.
The other thing I remember, we played, I think it was Canton. There are a lot of these have all changed their names now.
Yes.
We played in Canton. Half time, they bought ice cream in. We normally have a cup of tea. We bought ice cream.
Where's the oranges?
I mean, it was different. It was different. Yeah.
And that was the tour that famously John Truitt come out with that line, didn't he?
Yeah. But when you've seen one wall, that's me. I said, seen the wall. I was bending free kicks round it. But it still has a good one. Still, yeah. Everything's cultivated. And the bloke had a boom mic pushing. I thought, he's going to knock him over the wall in a minute. He's going to put... Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Somebody said, did they ever grow any rice in tins? No, what's going on?
Oh, dear.
But it was quite hard, actually. You got a load of young footballers who didn't really want to be in there. They weren't worried about the political aspects of it. Yeah, but anyway, now it's one of life's experiences, isn't it?
Absolutely, and this has been an absolute experience and an education. As always, Rod, thanks so much for your time. In part 5, we're going to be talking about Neil Franklin, because the book's come out now about Franklin when he went over to the El Dorado League out there in Colombia, and you've had a little bit of input into that book, so we'll talk about that in the next episode. Thanks for your time. Thanks for listening.
Hey guys, 4-time U.S. Soccer Athlete of the Year, Landon Donovan here. And I'm former U.S. and Premier League star goalkeeper Tim Howard.
And we're here to let you know about our brand new podcast, Unfiltered Soccer.
We'll be providing you with all of our insights into everything happening with the U.S. men's national team as they build towards World Cup 2026 here in North America.
And we'll give you all our thoughts on the latest news from MLS, the English Premier League, international tournaments, La Liga, everything going on in the soccer world and beyond.
And all throughout, Landon and I will be dropping in some of our most memorable stories from both on and off the pitch.
That's right. We'll take you inside the locker rooms, give you all the behind-the-scenes soccer info that you crave. It's our life in soccer, and it's unfiltered.
Subscribe to Unfiltered Soccer on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Make sure you follow us on all your social media platforms at Unfiltered Soccer.
New episodes drop every Tuesday.
What makes a great pair of glasses? At Warby Parker, it's all the invisible extras without the extra cost. Their designer quality frames start at $95, including prescription lenses, plus scratch-resistant, smudge-resistant, and anti-reflective coatings, and UV protection, and free adjustments for life. To find your next pair of glasses, sunglasses, or contact lenses, or to find the Warby Parker store nearest you, head over to warbyparker.com. That's warbyparker.com.
Whether you're in your running era, Pilates era, or yoga era, dive into Peloton workouts that work with you. From meditating at your kids' game to mastering a strength program, they've got everything you need to keep knocking down your goals. No pressure to be who you're not, just workouts and classes to strengthen who you are. So no matter your era, make it your best with Peloton. Find your push, find your power. Peloton. Visit onepeloton.com.